on this week's Goal Show. It's almost time. Euro 2012 hopefuls complete their tournament preparations. Fernando Torres tells us how he hopes to end a difficult season in style. Brazil look towards the Olympics with their one-man missile. And we've got the best action from the remaining last 16 fixtures in the AFC Champions League. But we start in Europe.
We'll start our look at those nations preparing for Euro 2012 with who else but defending champion Spain. And it's to Switzerland and the city of Bern we go, as the world and European champions look to add to their 2-0 win over Serbia last week. With Vicente Del Bosque still resting his Barca and Athletic Bilbao players, Pepe Reina was handed a rare start in goal. And it was Reina's former teammate, the much-maligned Fernando Torres, who broke the deadlock just 11 minutes in. The Chelsea striker celebrating his inclusion in the final 23-man squad with a goal. We'll have more from El Niño shortly. Torres needs just 2 more goals to move ahead of Fernando Hierro to become the 3rd all-time leading goalscorer for his national side. Spain had scored 7 and conceded none in their previous 2 matches, but their goal was breached shortly before half-time. Do Hyun Kim's fizzing 25-yard effort saw the teams head into the break level. Spain were handed the perfect opportunity to go back in front 6 minutes into the second half. Nacho Monreal's shot hitting the raised arm of Yong Hyung Cho. Real Madrid's Xabi Alonso made no mistake from the spot on his 95th appearance for his country. Just 5 minutes later, Spain doubled their advantage through a cheeky Santi Cazorla free kick. The Malaga star catching Korean goalkeeper Jin Hyun Kim flat-footed. And the night was rounded off in style by Alvaro Negredo, who finished off after a wonderful pass from Roberto Soldado, a man whose place Negredo took in the final 23-man squad.
Another fine display then that will have every other nation all the more aware of Spain's attacking prowess. They may have managed 4 against South Korea, but they head to Poland and Ukraine missing all-time leading goalscorer David Villa. That could put extra pressure on this man, Fernando Torres.
Currently, we are considered favourites for the Euro 2012, and we have a different kind of pressure. I have new hopes after a tough year for me, but I had a great end of the season in which I collected 2 titles, and I hope to win the Euros and put the cherry on the cake.
The European Championship will also hold happy memories for Torres. He scored the winner in the 2008 final. He also picked up winners' medals this season with Chelsea. They finished the season winning the FA Cup and the Champions League. A successful campaign then? Perhaps not. Torres managed just 11 goals for the London side and has only 12 since joining in a £50 million deal back in January 2011. With a record like that, he was lucky to make the squad. Roberto Soldado, who didn't make the final 23, finished his season with 24 goals for Valencia in Spain. No wonder then that Torres has a lot of respect for head coach Vicente Del Bosque.
It's not easy to be here, but what we want now is to maintain Del Bosque's trust in us, play as much as possible and make a big contribution to the team. That's what I'm here for. We have a collective target, not an individual one.
His form may well have cost him a place in the starting lineup. Fernando Llorente will most likely fill the void left by Villa after an impressive season with Athletic Bilbao. Spain line up in a tricky Group C, alongside Italy, the Republic of Ireland and Croatia. They play all 3 of their group games in the Arena Gdansk in Poland, starting with a tantalising clash against Italy on June the 10th. Only Del Bosque knows if Torres is set to start that match.
As one of the 2 nations hosting the event, Poland will hope to put on a good show both on and off the pitch. They played Andorra in their final game before opening the tournament with their Group A clash against Greece. Bordeaux midfielder Ludovic Obraniak put the home side ahead with a quarter of an hour gone, firing home in emphatic fashion. Poland doubled their advantage 10 minutes before the break. Robert Lewandowski highlighting why he's been so closely monitored by Europe's finest clubs with a stunning volley. That's the Borussia Dortmund star's 4th goal in 7 international appearances. Poland's third quickly followed. "30 seconds after the restart, the hosts were awarded a penalty. Mark Banaus was adjudged to have fouled Jakub Blaszczykowski. And the 26-year-old, another Borussia Dortmund star, stepped up to convert and make it 3-0. Andorra conceded a second penalty 15 minutes from time. Ilfons Lima, the culprit this time, for a challenge on Artur Sobiech. The outcome was the same, as Marcin Wasilewski dispatched the spot kick to round off a comfortable victory for František Šmuda's side. The co-hosts will no doubt face a sterner test in their curtain raiser against Greece on Friday. Group A's second round of games take place 4 days later, with Greece facing the Czech Republic before the hosts play Russia. In the final group games, Poland swap Warsaw for Wrocław to take on the Czechs, whilst it's Greece against Russia, those matches on June the 16th.
Sweden face the other co-hosts of the tournament, Ukraine, in their opening game. Eric Hamren's men will still believe they can spoil the party when they line up in Kiev's Olympic Stadium. They took on Iceland in Sweden's second largest city, Gothenburg, hoping to build on wins against Croatia and Bahrain. One man all their Euro 2012 opponents will have their eye on is striker Zlatan Ibrahimovic. The 30-year-old showing just why with a volley in the second minute of the match. If that wasn't enough to instill a sense of fear into his upcoming opponents, Ibra was on hand to help set up Sweden's second. A superb bit of skill allowing the Milan star the space to cross. His pinpoint ball finding Ola Toivonen at the back post, 14 minutes in. Kolbein Sigthorsson pulled one back for the visitors shortly before the half-hour mark. The chink in Sweden's armour will have been celebrated as much in Ukraine as it was by Iceland's travelling fans. It stayed 2-1 until the 77th minute, when Sweden caught the Iceland defence napping. Christian Wilhelmsson slamming the ball home to make it 3-1. Hallgrimur Jónasson pulled another back for Iceland deep into stoppage time, but it didn't affect the result. It ended 3-2 to Sweden, their third consecutive win. Good news for Sweden as they head to Ukraine to contest Group D with the co-hosts as well as England and France. First up for them is that match with Ukraine on June 11th. That game coming after old rivals England and France go head-to-head in Donetsk. All Sweden's games take place in Kiev. They take on England there on June 15th, before their final group game with France on the 19th.
Elsewhere, Portugal hosted Turkey in their final warm-up game. It was much-needed preparation for a side in one of the toughest groups at Euro 2012. Denmark, Germany and Holland their opponents in Group B. Turkey failed to qualify for the European Championships, but found themselves leading Portugal 2-0 after a brace from Umut Bulut. Some poor defending from the hosts at the Estadio de Luz led to Bulut's goals either side of the break. Sercan Sarara beat Miguel Lopez on his international debut before a lapse in concentration from Bruno Alves and Fabio Coentrão gave Bullut space to get his first. And after the restart, Alves and Miguel Veloso gave away the ball on the edge of the box, allowing Bullut to double his tally and Turkey's lead. The hosts got right back into the mix shortly after, though. Cristiano Ronaldo with the assist for his former Manchester United teammate Nani. Ronaldo could have equalised for Portugal from the penalty spot after Lopez was brought down in the box by Emre. But the Real Madrid player's strike was expertly saved by Volkan Demirel. Turkey kept pushing for a third, and they got it courtesy of Portugal defender Pepe. Substitute goalkeeper Eduardo came out for a cross, but pushed the ball towards Pepe, who inadvertently sealed the surprise 3-1 win for Turkey. Paulo Bento's Portugal must now regroup quickly ahead of their opening group game against much favoured Germany. That's on the second day of the tournament in Lviv in the Ukraine, after Holland and Denmark go head-to-head across the country in Kharkiv. Portugal remain in Lviv for their second group game against Denmark before the pick of the first-round matches between Germany and Holland. Group B's games conclude on June the 17th, with Portugal against Holland and Denmark against Germany.
Coming up in part 2 of this week's Goal Show, we turn our attention from the Euros to the Olympics. And was this strike enough to keep Kashiwa Racehall's AFC Champions League dreams alive? Welcome back to this week's Goal Show. Still to come, the Premier League puts on a show across the pond as Mexico take on Bosnia. And action from the MLS as New England Revolution bid to reverse some poor form.
Away from Europe and across the Atlantic Ocean, a number of countries contested friendlies this week. Brazil travelled north to Maryland to take on the USA, with one eye on this year's Olympics in London and a first-ever gold medal in football. One man fans will be dying to see at the Games is Santos star Neymar. The 20-year-old had no influence in a controversial penalty awarded against Oguchi Onyewu early on. He did, however, step up to slot home the resulting spot kick. The youngster turned provider for the second. His corner finding the head of Milan's Thiago Silva. Hercules Gomez reduced the deficit for the home side, heading in on the stroke of half-time to make it 2-1. The USA haven't beaten Brazil since 1998, and they conceded a third. Neymar once again at the heart of the move. It was his precisely weighted cutback that found the feet of Marcelo. That's a goal and 2 assists. Not a bad day's work for the young star. Alexandre Pato added number 4 3 minutes from the end to compound the USA's misery as their search for a victory against Brazil continues. For the visitors, very promising signs as they bid for that maiden Olympic gold medal. They continued preparations with a friendly against Mexico. We'll have the highlights from that match shortly.
Before that, Mexico warmed up with a match against Bosnia and Herzegovina in Chicago. The wet and windy conditions appeared to work in favour of those well-versed in the winters of the English Premier League. Tottenham's Giovanni Dos Santos was up first. He put Mexico ahead after following up an Aldo de Nigris shot that was parried by Asmir Begovic.
Celebration for the number 10 of Mexico, the player of Tottenham Hotspurs, Giovanni Dos Santos.
Bosnia levelled against a run of play. Manchester City's Edin Dzeko rounding Guillermo Ochoa.
And Dzeko snatches the equalizer for Bosnia. 1-1 Mexico-Bosnia.
Dzeko's cross-city foe Javier Hernandez replaced Dos Santos after 61 minutes, and he continued to build on his growing reputation as a super sub. The Manchester United striker, on the eve of his 24th birthday, passed on some poor Bosnia defending to stab home the winner. Bosnia substitute Stojan Vranches won't want to see too many replays of that goal. Mexico seeing out the 2-1 win.
Days later, Mexico and Brazil travelled to Texas to take on each other. Both nations set to appear at the Olympics later this year. The teams arrived at the Cowboys Stadium full of confidence after their respective victories over the USA and Bosnia. There remains just over 7 weeks until they start their quests for Olympic gold. For all their footballing success, Brazil is still missing that Olympic title, and they may need to up their game if they're going to do it in London. Because it was the Mexicans who took control in Arlington, stamping their authority on the match midway through the first half. Tottenham Hotspur striker Giovanni Dos Santos opened the scoring 22 minutes in, and what a goal too. The 23-year-old chipping in from the most unlikely of angles. And it was another Premier League star who doubled Mexico's lead 11 minutes later. Dos Santos was involved again. He was fouled in the box by Juan, handing Mexico a penalty. Manchester United's Javier Hernandez stepped up to the mark and converted with ease to make it 2-0. Brazil had the majority of the possession in the second half, but they couldn't take advantage of it. Juan's volley on 74 minutes was easily saved by Jose Corona. Then Atletico Madrid's much-talked-about Hulk set up Pato, but he didn't connect for what should have been an easy tap-in. And Neymar, so potent against the USA, also had a chance in added time. It stayed 2-0, the result a massive boost for Jose Manuel de la Torre's Mexico ahead of their Olympic campaign. They play South Korea in their opening group game at St James's Park on July the 26th. Then it's Gabon 3 days later, before an intriguing match against Switzerland at the Millennium Stadium on August the 1st. Brazil will be hoping to improve on their performance against Mexico when they play big rivals Argentina in their next friendly on June the 9th. They compete in Group C and face clashes against Egypt on July the 26th, Belarus on July the 29th and New Zealand on August the 1st as they bid for that elusive gold.
Marcello Lippi led his Gwangju Evergrande side in the AFC Champions League for the first time in a winner-takes-all last 16 clash with FC Tokyo. Victory would write Gwangju into the history books as the first Chinese team to reach the last 8. And they were on their way just after the half hour, Brazilian Cleo bagging his 4th goal of the campaign.
And here's a chance for Gwangju! Gwangju Evergrande have taken the lead! What a shocker! It's now 1-0 Gwangju, and the fans are going crazy right here at the home
Gwangju
stadium.
dominated for most of the game, but Japanese Emperor's Cup winners Tokyo did have their chances, Kazuma Watanabe heading narrowly over. The victory means Lippi has won 2 out of 3 since taking charge on the 17th of May. Another Japanese side, Kashiwa Reysol, were hoping for a better outcome when they travelled to Ulsan Hyundai of South Korea. After a disappointing first half, the hosts took the lead shortly before the hour. Shin-Wook Kim getting on the end of Kyun-Ho Lee's cross to put the Korean side ahead. Just 10 minutes later, Kashiwa Reysol were level through Brazilian midfielder Leandro Dominguez. But Ulsan restored their lead moments later, Noya Kondo putting the ball past his own keeper, although Kashiwa were adamant the ball hadn't crossed the line. And the Korean side looked to have wrapped the game up in the final minute through Lee. J-League champions Kashiwa pulled one back in stoppage time, but it was too little, too late.
Oh, from an angle, they've got the goal. That's a great goal from Junior Tanaka.
Ulsan Hyundai reaching the quarter-finals for the first time since 2006.
2010 winners Seongnam Iwa had home advantage against the only Uzbek side left in the competition, Bunyodkor. Bunyodkor's Australian defender David Carney tested the keeper in the first half, only to be denied by the woodwork. The visitors got the breakthrough 7 minutes into the second half. Kamaluddin Mirzaev fouled by Lim Jong-in.
And has pointed to the spot as well.
Hayrullah Karimov making no mistake from the penalty spot. Two times champion Seong Nam rallied into action as they looked for a way back into the game. Bitgaram Yoon had his shot well saved by Bunyodkor keeper Ignatiy Nestorov. And he then did superbly to tip Sangwoon Han's effort over the crossbar. Despite the pressure, Bunyodkor held on to book their place in the quarter-finals for the first time since 2009. Adelaide United are the only Australian side left in the competition. They faced another Japanese team, Nagoya Grampus. Jonathan McCain put the home side in front 5 minutes before the break as Adelaide looks to reach the last 8 for only the second time. There was a nervy final moment when Jungo Fujimoto's free kick clipped the post, but Eugene Galekovic's goal couldn't be breached. United held on for the win. They'll hope to go one better than in 2008 when they finished runners-up to Gamba Osaka. Gwangju Evergrande, Ulsan Hyundai, Bunyodkor and Adelaide United join Al Ahly Sepahan, Al Ittihad and Al Hilal in the quarter-finals. The teams will have to wait to find out who they play in the next round, however, as the draw takes place in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia on June the 14th.
Back to the United States now, and in domestic affairs, New England Revolution hosted Chicago Fire, looking for their first win in 3 MLS games. And Stephen Nichols' side almost got off to the ideal start at the Gillette Stadium. Benny Feilhaber's shot from the edge of the box flew just wide of Sean Johnson's left-hand post. It took until the 70th minute for New England to make the decisive breakthrough. Feilhaber's through ball found substitute Kellen Rowe, who coolly finished into the bottom right-hand corner. The goal was Rowe's second in his first ever season in the MLS. The 20-year-old midfielder combined with Feilhaber again just minutes later to wrap up the points for New England. A fine 1-2 between the pair allowed USA midfielder Feilhaber to slot home the host's second goal. They held on for the win, their first in all competitions since May 13th. It sees them move up to 6th in the Eastern Conference, just 2 points off Chicago and the playoff places. Chicago cling on to that playoff place, but drop to 5th on goal difference after their second consecutive loss.
Wilson took top spot in our latest Goal of the Week poll with more than 35% of the vote. Each week we ask you to choose your favourite from 5 we've selected. The majority of this week's goals come from the round of international friendlies we've featured. We start with the co-hosts of Euro 2012, Poland, and Robert Lewandowski's scissor kick in their 4-0 drubbing of Andorra. The Borussia Dortmund striker has had a fine season. He'll be hoping to add more of these when the tournament gets underway with his nation's Group A match against Greece. Our second strike comes from Sweden, and who else but Zlatan Ibrahimovic? The 30-year-old forward sending the message out that he's still a force to be reckoned with. And the Milan star is involved in goal 3. In fact, it's his silky bit of skill that prompted us to include Ola Toivonen's simple tap-in. If Zlatan can keep producing assists like this, PSV striker Toivonen could be set for the Golden Boot in Poland and Ukraine. Goal 4 is simply stunning from Mexico's Giovanni Dos Santos. The Tottenham Hotspur forward, who's hardly featured in the Premier League this term, sending his own message to Harry Redknapp about just how much quality he possesses. Our final pick this week comes from the AFC Champions League. Like Wilson's, this goal from Junior Tanaka for Kashiwa Reysol proved fruitless, but it's definitely worthy of inclusion in our top 5 finishes. That's your list to choose from this week. To vote for your favourite, simply head for the video section on goal.com. And your comments are always welcome on our Goal Show Twitter page.
On next week's Goal Show, all the news from Poland and Ukraine as Euro 2012 gets underway. And Brazil tune up for the Olympics with a game against none other than Argentina.